With Hype Plus News, I'm Bevan.
Do not bring your politics out of respect to Reverend Jesse Jackson to these homegoing services.
I listened for several hours of 3 United States presidents who do not know Jesse Jackson.
The funeral of civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson drew a powerful crowd of political leaders, activists, clergy, and culture figures who gathered to honor the legacy of one of the most influential figures in the modern civil rights movement. But while many came to celebrate Jackson's life and decades of advocacy for Black Americans and the poor, controversy emerged after several speakers delivered remarks that critics say turned the memorial into a political moment. Several prominent figures attended the service, including former Presidents Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and other high-ranking political leaders like Kamala Harris. Their presence reflected Jackson's decades of influence in American politics and civil rights organizing. According to reports, members of Jackson's families had asked speakers and attendees to keep the service focused on remembrance rather than politics.
Do not bring your politics out of respect to Reverend Jesse Jackson to these homegoing services. Right. Come respectful and come to say thank you.
However, some speeches from powerful figures included criticism of the current political climate and pointed remarks about national leadership and Trump. Jackson's son, Jesse Jackson Jr., publicly voiced frustration afterwards, saying,
"Yesterday, I listened for several hours of 3 United States presidents who do not know Jesse Jackson. He maintained a tense relationship with the political order, not because the presidents were white or black, but the demands of our message, the demands of speaking for the least of these, those who were disinherited, the damned, the dispossessed, the disrespected, demanded not Democratic or Republican solutions, but demanded a consistent prophetic voice that at no point in time sold us out as a people. And it speaks volumes about who the Reverend Jesse Jackson was."
The tension sparked debate online about whether political commentary was appropriate at the funeral of a man whose life was deeply rooted in political activism. Some speakers referenced Jackson's lifelong work challenging political power structures, arguing that speaking about current issues was consistent with his legacy. Others felt the moment called for reflection rather than commentary on today's political battles.
Another setback to the idea, the rule of law. An offense to common decency every day you wake up to things you just didn't think were possible. Each day we're told by those in high office to fear each other and to turn on each other. I don't care what they do in Washington. I care what we do in the community. We beat people bigger than Trump, fought people harder than them if we stand up and be what we're supposed to be.
In bad times like now, we're in a tough spot, folks. We got an administration that doesn't share any of the values that we have. And I don't think I'm exaggerating a little bit.
Let me just say, I predicted a lot about what's happening right now. I'm not into saying I told you so, but we did see it coming.
The debate quickly spilled onto social media, where commentators and public figures shared sharply different views. Political commentator Roland Martin pushed back against claims that the service was turned into a political rally. "You are pathetic." The funeral of Reverend Jesse Jackson lasted 10 hours over 2 days. Speakers talked about every facet of his life. You ignored all of them just so you can focus on those who called out Donald Trump. In another post, Martin rejected claims circulating in conservative media about former President Donald Trump's relationship with Jackson. This is a 100% lie. You maggots never gave a damn about Reverend Jesse Jackson or his agenda for Black and poor people. Others echoed the criticism of the backlash, arguing that Jackson's entire life was political and that separating his legacy from political discourse was unrealistic. One user on X wrote, "The man literally ran for president as a Democrat. His father spent a lifetime building relationships as a political activist and politician, focused on black liberation first." Still, some observers sided with the family's request to keep the service apolitical. Reverend Dr. Charles Harrison posted, "I don't blame the family for being upset at the three former presidents when they turned the memorial service for Reverend Jesse Jackson into a political rally, attacking the current president." The controversy raises a larger question about how to memorialize leaders whose lives were inseparable from politics. For supporters of the speech, his political commentary was an extension of Jackson's lifelong fight for voting rights, economic justice, and civil rights. For critics, a funeral should have been a moment of unity and remembrance rather than political confrontation. What remains undeniable is Jackson's historic influence, from organizing with Martin Luther King Jr. to running 2 presidential campaigns and advocating for marginalized communities worldwide. Jackson's legacy continues to shape conversations about race, power, and justice in America. Even in death, the debates surrounding his funeral reflect the same tensions that define his life's work. I usually have a very strong stance on issues like this, but this one is a little different because honestly, I can see both sides. On one hand, when a family asks people to keep things respectful and avoid politics, that request should matter. Losing someone that close to you is already painful, and the last thing you want is to feel like the moment meant to honor your loved one is being pulled into a bigger public debate. But on the other hand, we're talking about Reverend Jesse Jackson, a man whose entire life was political. His ministry, his activism, even his presidential campaigns were rooted in challenging power and speaking on the issues of the day. For many of the people who spoke, politics wasn't separate from his legacy, it was his legacy. So some speakers likely felt that talking about the current political moment wasn't disrespect. It was a way of honoring the fight. You know, he spent his whole life leading. When someone like Jesse Jackson passes, he doesn't just belong to his family anymore. He's a community figure. He also belongs to the movement, the history, and the millions of people whose lives were touched by his work. So, do you honor the family's wishes for a quiet remembrance, or do you honor the public life of a man who spent decades speaking truth to power? Let's talk about it more in the comments below. Were the former presidents wrong for using Jackson's platform as a way to push their recent agendas? For Hype Plus News, I'm Bevan.
Running a business is one thing. Getting people to know about it is another. That's why Hype Plus is now teaming up with business and brand owners to produce their own custom commercials to air across our network of over 1 million subscribers. From the script to who even stars in your commercial is made easy for you. Let us get the word out while you build your company.